I am so excited today to have Joelle Kerr. I almost said Joelle Kerr here from base out of Toronto, Canada. That is building an athletic structure for exercise. Now, Joel is an incredible coach, and I'm so excited to kind of break down his topic as he starts to embark on the lecture circuit with Perform Better. Joelle, welcome to the podcast.
Appreciate you, Josh. I am so excited about this opportunity to chop it up with you and take the first step. And I deliberately use that term into base because what we are is an educational company, an educational platform that is looking to connect with coaches and clinicians who have recognized that there's a gap in their learning with respect to understanding how to assess, how to manage lower limb injuries, and how to allow their athletes to perform better on all stages.
Interesting. Now, you said lower limb specifically.
Yes.
The
foot and ankle. The foot and ankle yeah, exactly. You know what's interesting? Most people think, hey, are you just going to focus on the hip down to the foot? The answer to that is yes and no. And the reason why we specifically are aiming towards the foot and ankle is because of the complexity of the structure and the confusion of this part of the body. It's often thought of that if you work out, you're working on your feet. If you run, you know how to run. If you jump, you know how to jump. However,
interesting.
You have to have intentional interventions for this part of your body for you to maximize the running, the jumping, the changing direction. It doesn't just go along with the kinetic chain. It's actually the last structure to lift off of the ground, and it's the first structure to contact the ground. So if there is not intention in your delivery of care as a coach, as a clinician, you're just hoping that the foot works. And that's what we are aiming to eliminate. That hope, that complexity. We want you to not guess, but we want you to understand if you have the ability to influence the foot in terms of how it loads, how it transfers force, you're going to maintain the tissue integrity of the passive structures, the active structures, and most importantly, the neural ones.
Interesting. And so just to be clear, you're specifically coaching coaches. You're not coaching Gen Pop. You're not doing therapies on Gen Pop. It's not like you have a training studio and you're working people's feet and ankles out. You're coaching practitioners.
A little bit of both, Josh, to be honest with you. We have a client-facing program that is specialized for runners, for lifters, and what we call pivot-based sports. So any sport that you got to change directions on the fly, decelerate, accelerate, we have a client-facing program for them as well. But you're right. Like if we start at the root, which is the clinicians, the coaches, those athletes of life can benefit from training programs that are specialized and intentional with training their feet.
Now, is BASE as a whole, the program, the whole concept, is it an online situation?
Well, we came out of the pandemic and we were all stuck on this form of communication. So when we decided to launch our educational platform, we teetered on the idea of making it virtual. And I love people. I love speaking to individuals. I love obviously interacting with them. So the program right now is not virtual. It is in person. However, we will be launching an e-series where we will give coaches and clients the opportunity to learn through the virtual means, which is on their own time.
If I can drop a pearl of wisdom, I want you to write it down if you can.
I will.
I want you to, and you've probably heard, do you know Alex Hormozi?
Yes.
Do you know the platform for school?
Yes.
I built a sleep academy as well as a longevity academy on there, and I'm just launching the longevity platforms. It's KOOL.
Yeah.
It's $9 a month. I can even send you a link. You want to talk about like work for this year in the back end of you getting it up online for a larger launch? I highly recommend it. It has been tremendous. You build a community right there. You can just start to upload videos, and I swear by it. I've recommended anyone I come in contact with who even is like, you know what, I would think about doing this remotely. It's a huge platform combining a lot of different, everything from, it's kind of like a Facebook group, like a messenger, to a community, video uploads, to running an actual class. You don't have to buy, an out-of-pocket class. It's all built in. I think it's fantastic. And for something, if you're moving that way, it's done tremendous. Speaking of foot and ankle, you ever talk to Rocky Snyder?
I have not. I'm going to write that down. Okay.
Snyder.
Rocky Snyder. How do I spell Snyder? Regular old way or is it a fancy way? I knew it. I knew it was going to be fancy.
He actually reached out to me last year. Now, I have We talked in the beginning here about how we've idolized, and I have to say congratulations again for being on the Perform Better Tour. For those listening, I am interviewing Joelle and a couple other really incredible presenters from Perform Better. So trying to bring our listeners the absolute best in health and sports science. And Rocky Snyder is actually the one who launched my podcast last year. Like, he inspired me by interviewing me on his podcast. And he is a sports performance coach. He's up in the North Bay in Los Angeles, or in California. And he specializes in foot and ankle, basically mobilization and optimization.
Okay.
And do you know the foot wedges?
Yes, absolutely.
He was one of the founding people with creating the foam wedges. Perform Better actually sells a stack of them. They're phenomenal. Kind of really coming out to try and revolutionize foot and ankle health. I'm sure you've probably read material or content from him as kind of like a forefather of what you're doing.
Yes.
Like, we would look at Weingroff or what's it from West Side Barbell? I can't think of his name right now. Oh my God.
I know what you mean. I know.
Is it Pacman?
I believe so. I believe so.
But that era, right?
Yes.
Rocky's in where they're the fourth. What we're doing, we're the young guns.
Yes.
And he foot and ankle health. I highly recommend. I actually think he's going to be at these. Shake his hands.
Boy,
one of the nicest guys in the world. You want to talk about doing a collab or like getting to just know somebody who I can guarantee you probably knows more than you.
Absolutely.
He's the nicest man in the world. So when you said foot and ankle, my eyes lit up. So tell me about your presentation. The title, Missing Link to Performance from Assessment to Action. Tell me about it. What am I looking at? Why do I want to go see you?
Well, first and foremost, as coaches, we all have to assess our clients, our athletes, when they come into our space. And depending on your mentors in the past and who you've been exposed to will literally determine how you will assess this said person. And what we have come across is once you perform these assessments, no matter what they are, you're going to have a series of data, some information in front of you. And the common question that happens is, what do you do with this information? What do you do next? And what we have come to the realization is, specifically with the foot and ankle, it often doesn't get assessed at all. We are just looking at knees, we're looking at hips, we're looking at the core, we're looking at everything else, but we are completely ignoring what the foot and the ankle and the toes are doing. What BASE has designed is a flow movement. We call it flow. It's called functional loaded observational work. And when we put our clients, our athletes through this, we're not just looking at the movement above the foot and the kinetic chain, but we're looking at how the foot responds to the movements that are prescribed above the foot. And there's a couple of different things that we're going to see when we have a non-functional foot. Number one, you're going to have a lot of gripping on the ground, movement, inversion, eversion, reaction. You're going to have deviation of the calcaneus. And the patient will only describe this as, oh, I'm getting a cramp. I'm getting a foot cramp. But why
would they be getting a cramp? What is a cramp the signal of?
The cramp is a signal of, my goodness, I'm trying to hold on for dear life. I'm trying to grab the ground, maintain contact on the ground, and make sure that I don't fall over. All of this can be trained with regards to observational skills. And more importantly, it can be coached on how to prevent this from happening. So imagine this. Imagine an athlete has to tell his or her foot to not cramp or to contact the ground every time he or she ran or jumped. It would be exhausting, and our brain would be the size of this. However, when we're trying to run fast, when we're trying to jump high, when we're trying to change directions with confidence, we want the structures that are responsible for maintaining stability and mobility in our foot to be optimized at all times. And we don't want to have to think about it. So if we have intention with the delivery of our interventions to the structures that are responsible for mobilizing and stabilizing the foot, you increase your opportunity to be faster, to jump higher, to change directions with confidence. And that's what BASE is built on.
Interesting. What triggered all of this? Why BASE? Why going for ankle and foot? It's really curious.
Great question, Josh. In 2020, we had quite the time of the year, but we were all pretty much doing the same thing, which was nothing. And within my clinical space, we were shut down for a good amount of time here in Canada. It was frustrating. It was irritating. And let me just be honest with you, it was depressing. And once the world opened up clinical space opened up. And within 6 months, Josh, within 6 months of my clinical space opening up, I saw over 23 Achilles tendon ruptures.
For those of you who don't understand, the worst thing beyond major spinal trauma or something like that you can do to your body with the statistical longest recovery is an Achilles tear.
Absolutely. This structure is responsible for us being able to push off, and it has the biggest tendon in our entire body. And it's powerful, and it's designed to be powerful this way because of the spring recoil system that makes it up. And the interesting aspect of the 23 patients was that they were from different walks of life. Some were athletes, some were not athletes, some were men, some were women, some were tall, some were short. It didn't matter what size or where they were from and what they did. They all tore their Achilles tendon. And at that time, I had no idea why, but I needed to figure it out. So I wanted to look at some of the protocols that I was exposed to through school. Some of them were very archaic and did not support the healing process that was required for these patients in front of me. So that's why I took a deep dive into the literature, and I started to get a better understanding of the foot, the ankle, and the stabilizing muscles that are involved, and even the Achilles tendon itself, which we are typically taught that it is a structure that looks like this, and it sits at the back of our leg like this. But in reality, Josh, I'm just going to use my ear cord here. There are cords, and they actually twist and they rotate, and their subtendons do that, meaning from the calf to the medial calf, lateral calf, and the soleus. They run all the way down, and then they rotate and twist, and then they insert on the bottom portion of the calcaneus. Now, here's the interesting point. You don't know what variation you have of twist until you tear it. So you could be training your Achilles tendon right now in one plane, not realizing that there's a possibility that you have a twist that requires you to train it in the medial plane or the lateral plane. You don't know until you tear it.
For those listening who may not kind of understand what he's talking about here, is the calcaneus is the heel bone, and basically from the middle of your calf down to the back of your heel bone, right? There's basically, right, we all are built a little bit different, and the tension lines through the body, from everything from gait through the way you move to the way you were born, even the way we have developed over time has created different tension pathways through the body, and we have adapted. We do that every day. Also, what I guarantee you would agree with me, it's what sports you play as well. A tennis player is going to develop a different set of tension bias versus a power lifter, right? And you may be training inappropriately. So I'm going to stop it right there, because I know I have a bunch of tennis players who, like, I train or their fathers do it.
Yes.
How, if you can simplify it,
absolutely.
How can I, without obviously tearing, take a step forward, pun intended, towards understanding my tension line and how to train the weakest link? So training the other pattern.
So the first answer to that question is ensuring that there is equality with your training planes. So we have 3 planes of motion, ladies and gentlemen. We got sagittal, which is up and down. We got frontal, which is side to side. And then we got rotation. Okay? Now, if you think about it, you walk into any big box gym right now, everybody is training here.
Everyone, for those who can't see the video, everyone is training either up and down or forward and backwards.
Correct.
Think a barbell squat, think a walking lunge. Walking lunge is a little, multiplanar there. But basically, a lot of your traditional, like leg extension, a leg extension machine.
Correct.
It's a traditional forward motion. Most of our lifting is, unless you're a coach or sports performance coach, is biased to one plane of motion.
Yes.
So that's what I'm getting at. Yeah.
That is it. And the way that I describe it is most people train what they see, and you train what you see in the sagittal plane. Now, injuries occur typically in the frontal and transverse plane. Yeah. So to answer your question, the best way to, and I don't even like using this term, bulletproof your joints, is to include rotation and frontal plane movement. And it starts with the foot and ankle. Most people don't even know that their foot can rotate. Every single time you take a step, your foot is rotating. So therefore, you have to have intentional rotational movement in the forefoot and in the rear foot meaning that calcaneus. So if you're making this calcaneus rotate, you are supporting that subtendon twist that occurs. And that limits the amount of load that occurs onto this Achilles so it does not snap. But before I finish my point, I want to make it explicitly clear. There is no exercise, there is no pill, there's no lotion that can prevent injury. But when you include movements that are in all three planes, you mitigate, you lower the incidence and the severity of the tissue damage. So you're basically telling the tissue, hey, I've been here before. I don't need to freak out because I can withstand this load that's coming from the frontal plane or the transverse plane, and I don't have to rip, snap, or pop. And that is something that we emphasize in the base protocol system when we are talking about training the foot. We like to call it real foot training.
Yeah. All right. So pulling that back, now we get an idea of really in depth, a little bit of who you are and what you're doing. Mm-hmm. What are you hoping to bring to the table at Perform Better with your topic? And for those, again, missing link to performance from assessment to action. So what are you looking to bring to the table for us?
Great question. Number one, I just want our fellow coaches and clinicians to take a pause and say, he's right. I did not get exposed to enough knowledge about the foot and ankle. I don't have a great command of the functional biomechanics and anatomy of the foot and ankle. I need to dive in more. And what we want to be is that resource for the coaches and clinicians at Perform Better and around the world. I'm just being ambitious right now. That is the plan. And once you decide to listen to that funny feeling that you're getting in your chest and stomach when we're talking about the fact that we don't have the greatest knowledge and we have some learning gaps with regards to foot and ankle biomechanics and exercise prescription, that's when you're going to want to say, hey, I need to sign up for this next one-day clinic, or I need to sign up for his course, or I need to bring him out to my clinical space, whatever it may be. But it's starting that conversation internally to say, I need to know more, because what I've been doing with my athletes, myself, has been subpar. I haven't been focusing on this part of the body. And at the end of the day, we all know what the SAID principle says. Specific adaptations to impose demands. If you're not specifically working on speed and you want to get fast, how are you going to get fast? My response to that question is, if you're working on speed and you're not working on your feet, you're never going to be fast.
I love that. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I have a fun little way to kind of wrap up this little interview here.
Absolutely.
And I was sitting here as I'm listening to you, and I had a little bit of a brainstorm moment. I have ever ongoing arguments with different clients or athletes about some hot topics when it comes to the foot health.
Okay, here we go.
I have 5 things, fads, coaching points, whatever you want to say.
Okay.
And I want you to call it your hot take. We call it Dr. J's hot take.
Okay.
And I'm just going to turn them off, okay?
I'm ready.
And so an answer, I love it, I hate it, and here's why. Keep it a little bit shallower. Cool? All right. Dr. J's hot take. Sand training. Like it. Love it. Don't like it. Go for it.
Hate it. If your goal is to be fast and to be powerful, you need to have a surface to create that ground reaction force. So listen, summer, sand is great for lying down, drinking a couple of adult beverages if you're an adult, but you don't and you will not get fast by training in the sand. And I can go on, but that is it. Look it up. You cannot create that ground reaction force without having a hard surface. Moving on.
I love it. Number 2, ankle wraps, spats, taping for athletes. What do you think?
Another hate it. Why are you making me hate everything? But here's the reason why I hate it. It is not doing what we think it does. It is a psychological crutch. And I know that there's some professional athletes out there that will not play a game without taping their ankles. I'm never going to argue with them. I'm just going to let them do it because it is part of their ritual. But I am going to prescribe some good base foot training in addition to the crutch that they need for their
long story short here, I'm going to do it within 30 seconds. I ended up having a stint going to try and make it as a professional football player, right?
Okay.
I had broken ankles, had awful sprains, the whole 9 yards. I went out to Colorado to train with a guy by the name of Lauren Landau. He was the Broncos head strength coach, Lauren Landau.
Yeah.
And I had these beefy cleats with the ankle, with the Velcro, the whole 9 yards. And I'm walking out there to start to run. He looked at me, and that's what he did. He looked at me and was like, get out of here. You have to buy me a new set of cleats for tomorrow's practice. So I had to go and search for him. He mandatorily made me wear low ankle cut. So underneath, right? And basically, right, cleats are low, medium, and high.
Yes.
In doing so, the other thing, and I'm very curious, I'm going to end it with, you don't answer it now, but I'm going to end it with what your favorite drill is. He made me stand on PVC pipes and shimmy them across the field. So like you're literally like like a skier.
Yes.
I had to go all the way across the field and then come all the way back.
Yes.
I can tell you I never rolled my ankle or broke them again. So curiously, of like the spatting, all of that. And then as I did the research, as I'm older, the tape loosens within like 2 minutes. Tight support is gone before you even get to the field.
Absolutely.
Anyways, Dr. J's hot take. What do you think about cleats and the levels, as well as the rigidity in cleats? Do you have recommendations that you would make for athletes? Obviously, sport dependent. A hockey player needs something more rigid than a football player. But do you have any recommendations you make for your athletes?
Now, I'm going to try to frame this and answer your question, but this is how I'm going to answer your question. It depends on the surface. I despise artificial turf. If you think about the rates of deceleration injuries that have increased in any sport that plays on artificial turf, you will agree with me. So it depends on what surface they are playing on. If they are playing on real grass, it will determine what type of cleat they need to wear. But to answer your question in terms of rigidity, the footwear should never be rigid, and the footwear should never be extra pliable. And the reason for this is this: your foot needs to be both rigid and flexible at the same time at different points, depending upon when you're running or depending on when you're taking that first step. So if you are in a shoe or a cleat that is completely rigid, when you need to be flexible, you're going to lose that ability, and vice versa.
Right.
That is my answer.
Okay. And then so my follow-up to that with that is shoe purchases. With the evolution of Asics, New Balance, Brooks, On Cloud, all of them, these thick boys.
Yes.
Do you recommend thicker shoes, thinner shoes, low profile? What do you like as a foot and ankle specialist? What do you like?
Great question again. And I'm going to give the classic coach's answer. It depends.
I knew that was coming. I knew it was coming.
But I'm just being real with you. It depends because of the foot type that the individual has. Yeah. I despise when someone messages me on any social platform and says, "This is who I am. Give me a program." Bruh, I don't know what your foot looks like. I don't know what your knee looks like. I don't know what your hip looks like. I don't know what these structures look like moving. So I can never recommend a shoe for you. However, if you are wearing a shoe and the cushioning is this thick and your foot is up here, you are doing a disservice to your foot because you are not going to be able to feel the surface.
Really thick sole. For those not watching the video, thick sole.
Not ideal. Not ideal.
Why?
Because you're losing the sensation of your foot. My friends, our foot is a microprocessor. It needs to sense the ground in order for you to move fast, jump higher, change the direction. And if you are clouding and disrupting the sensation of your foot to take in the sensory input, you're not going to optimize the function of this computer. You could take any analogy that you want. Your cell phone in a concrete space, a mitt on your hand when you're trying to cook. You're not going to feel the temperature. You're not going to get the bars for your phone. Same idea with your foot. There needs to be a good amount of cushion to protect your foot from being injured, but not to dampen sensation.
Understood. Last one as we wrap it up.
Of course.
Toe splitters.
The spreaders, I'm for them. I like them. I like them a lot. We sell them. We endorse them. We use them as a tool when you're doing your lifts. My only caveat to anything is I don't want you to get dependent on it. I want you to make sure that you use it when you're training, and then you take them off when you're not training. You don't need to wear them 24/7s. I've heard people that wear them in their shoes. That's just weird.
Yeah. 100%. So for the listeners, if you could give one drill, obviously you can't show them, it's only verbal.
Oh, yes.
If you could give one drill that you would be like, man, if I wish everyone could do this every day or twice a week or whatever it is, what would be the one drill that you would be asking somebody to do to make sure they're optimizing their foot health to the best of their ability?
Simple. Wear no shoes and no socks. Be barefoot.
Just walking around?
Just walking around. Absolutely. If your gym is owned by someone who is sensible and has the time to have it cleaned when you're doing a lift, like a squat, a single leg squat, an RDL, anything of that nature, wear no shoes, be barefoot. And if you don't have the access to do that in a training space, do it at home. When you're brushing your teeth, when you're doing the dishes, just be barefoot, standing on one limb, get that sensation back, because we're in shoes and socks all the time. We are dampening our sensors all the time.
I always tell my clients we're monkeys, right? At the end of the day, we're monkeys, right? Monkeys grip with their feet and their hands. And we're so used to only using our hands. And now we've put these massive mittens on our feet.
Absolutely.
Right? There's also a really interesting study, and it would be good for you. Major chronic disease, like major chronic disease. If you look at the research, the moment we introduced rubber-soled shoes, chronic disease skyrocketed because how alkalinization, the electrical balance within our body, the whole grounding thing that's become like a new craze. Yes. We used to ground all the time because we were walking around on the ground.
All the time.
And so it's just a little interesting fun fact. Give me your handles. How do we reach you? Anyone listening to this, if you've got some foot and ankle problems, you need to talk to my guy, Joelle. How do we find you?
Well, it's on my chest, on my left chest. It's base __ base B.A.S.E. That's what my wardrobe change was at the beginning of the podcast. You can check us out on IG. My own personal IG is there as well. We have a YouTube page, and we're super stoked to make sure that we are reaching out to all of you when we connect and perform better.
B_A_S_E.com.
No, __ B.A.S.E.
Got it.
That's it.
I want to make sure, because we said a bunch of things. I want to make sure we got it
Absolutely.
clear. I'll make sure on any of our posts, I'll tag that.
Absolutely, brother. Cool. Appreciate this. This was awesome.
This was amazing. Thank you so much for coming on, and I can't wait to see you at Perform Better.
Me too, man. Thank you so much. Appreciate you.
Stay on.